I mean, I pretty much go for a campaign thinking that this is a test and learn. Things can go wrong, you can fail, but no problems, you'll learn.
Regular phone call aati hai, you just cut the phone right away. If the phone call starts with their name in Amitabh Bachchan ji's voice.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it drills down and creates that wow impact with the consumer. When the consumer sees that final output, he says, wow, aisa to maine kabhi kuch dekha hi nahi hai, right?
This might be a tricky one. It's like asking, the father what your favorite, who your favorite child is. But like, if there's one campaign, and this is a cliche, but I have to ask you this. Thank you so much, Niraj, for doing this. First of all, really appreciate you spending the time coming through all the Mumbai traffic.
It's pleasure.
Let's just start with just knowing you better. Would like to get an introduction for the broader audience. I know the industry knows you, but I think this should reach the masses. So would love to know more about you.
All right, guys. So I'm Niraj. I lead the emerging tech practice for Group M and WPP in India. Personally, I like doing a lot of innovative stuff and looking forward to this podcast with my friend Anupreet here.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much again for doing this. Niraj, I just want to get started by knowing more about your career, the way you moved up the ladders across, different agencies, different roles, and now finally you're actually leading the charge for technology at large, for this industry, which I call consumer brands at large, for the lack of better knowledge that I have. I'm very new into the world. But I just see that every fun campaign that any brand is doing, is led by you. Before we get to the...
by my team, I would say. A large team that works behind the show.
Oh, no, of course, and that's humbleness speaking right there. But I actually want to know, Neeraj, from you, like, before you got here, like, if someone wants to reach where you've reached, what are the few things that you did right in the process? I want to be a listener to that because I'm very new to this world. So
yeah, I mean, I would say I was someone like a hardcore Gemini, someone who loves to gets bored really fast.
Yeah.
So I would love to experiment with a lot of new stuff. So curiosity would be the right word. I mean, I was always curious from day zero. Even when I was in college, I always wanted to do new stuff all the way, right? And never that focused in life, I would say. I mean, I was very, very, very difficult to get my focus on certain stuff. But yeah, if something is new and it's exciting, that's something used to, catch my eyes, and I used to feel like, okay, this is something I want to go ahead and crack it in a big way. Something which has to stand out. Yeah. That was the first self-realization of myself, what I realized, saying that, okay, let's get into a profession. And that's one of the reasons I never chose my family business, because at a certain point, I thought that this is getting very mundane and boring.
Yeah.
And always wanted a unique identity to myself. And I thought God has gifted me with so much talent in so many ways.
Yeah.
Like I used to perform. I used to be an artist at some point in time. I used to model. So again, this is a classic trait which is not letting you do one stuff, but you are constantly moving and trying new stuff out there.
And I want to go deeper into each one of those first before we get into the stuff that probably the larger audience knows, right? So first, family business, for how long did you do that? What were the years when you were in the family business? And from what I know, personally, I think, you were doing pretty well. Your family is doing pretty well in the business. Like, what motivated you to get out of that and then hustle all the way to, make yourself a CXO or a leader in the industry? While you could have just joined as a CXO right into your family business, which is significantly large enough.
Yeah.
So what was the motivation, and when did you actually attempt the family business to begin with?
Yeah, I mean, in your careers, you come across a lot of leaders, right? You keep following a lot of leaders in and around you, even in your society or people you meet. So one of the guys I met kind of inspired me in a way, saying that this is something which comes very organically to you. But if you don't enjoy it now, imagine how will you enjoy it a couple of years down the line. So eventually, you're born to make money and fame.
Yeah.
That's part of the game.
Yeah.
But it's just that you want to excel in which direction is something you need to consciously take a call. So I did join for textile was our big forte then. And I did go to Sasmera Institute of Textile in Worli. I did learn that space. I gave it another 6 months to understand if I actually like it or if I want to go ahead and pursue it. And the answer which kept coming back from deep within is, no, this is too boring. Let's try something else.
Yeah.
And then every 6 months, every 3 months, I mean, opportunities kept knocking me.
Yeah.
Like there was a print shoot and I used to look like really good then if I look so decent now. So I used to go for it. Like I used to go give auditions, fail. And if you keep failing, you keep learning a lot of new stuff. And that pretty much applies to my current campaigns as well. I mean, I pretty much go for a campaign thinking that this is a test and learn.
Aspiration.
Things can go wrong,
Yeah.
you can fail, but
Yeah.
no problems, you learn. But at the same time, you got to have the leadership
Yeah.
like we do.
Yeah.
I mean, and even a lot of good friends now on the client side who back you and they say that, okay, you want to try this new stuff? Okay, here's a small budget. We call it test and learn budget. Go for it. Stay away from P&L, stay close to TNL as we call it, and try and maneuver things around. And if it's a big hit, then it ends up creating a global headlines. We've seen a lot of our campaigns which are made really big.
Absolutely.
So all in all, I would say, that the curiosity, that took me further from where I was to learning new stuff. And right now my goal would be pretty much like trend spotting and trend shaping. So every 6 months or every 2 months when you meet me at our experience center, I'll be talking some new stuff because I'm constantly learning, not just from world leaders, but also from our colleagues, folks like you, the startup ecosystem. Love to spend a lot of time with them, and that's a different DNA of people altogether.
Yeah.
Like hardcore risk takers.
Yeah.
So there's so much to learn around you and people who are around you. That itself becomes a motivating factor to keep trying new stuff out there. And then when you succeed, then there is a big lobby of people who want to be like you, who want to actually say that, okay, why can't we make a career in advertising, do something new out there, and stuff like that. So the journey continues.
But then when early on, when you were so experimental and so risk-taking early on, and when you failed, like what was the motivation to just go back and try again when you had the safe path every single time to go back to your family business and continue that?
Yeah.
What was the motivation to continue to see failures, continue to have like a boss?
See, when the rush is to create an identity of yourself, then all this won't matter. And if you are passionate about something really in your life, then all this won't matter. Then you will just go for it. And I've been like absolutely lucky to get some amazing bosses initially in my day and the kind of mentoring which I got. So a lot of my bosses taught me a lot of new stuff in their own way. So if I've learned a lot of unique traits from a lot of these leaders. And I've been lucky, I would say. Sometimes it gets very demotivating when you come across a manager who is kind of not supporting your wacky thoughts. And if he turns down all the wacky ideas which you come up with, then you might feel demoralized saying that, I mean, how can he tell me something like that?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So I think the race to create an identity is something which is a perennial problem with all the people who are born with a golden spoon, like they say, right? So everyone wants to make a mark. And it's very difficult to pivot.
Yeah.
That's something I would totally agree.
Because for someone like me, both of my parents were into government jobs. So for me, I didn't have a plan B. So I would, hustle through it, even if I had rough days, because I knew that I don't have a plan B.
Yeah.
For someone like you who had a very beautiful plan B, like just hustling through it, even when, you know that, this is, I deserve better, like I have been treated much better throughout my life. And, if I go to that plan B, I'll make a lot more money than I would if I continue here.
Yeah.
I mean, just it's phenomenal to just see someone, really, really hustling through those days. Because now, I'm sure, now you're already like, a champion in your space and everyone would pay you whatever you'd want. But in those days, just assuming, just thinking about the fact that you got through it and you didn't go back to that world is inspirational.
Yeah, it's all about, I think everything is destiny at the end of the day. But you got to focus on what you want to do or what excites you, because something that doesn't excite you, maybe you'll be able to do it for a year or two.
Yeah.
What happens later on then? And this is something what I'm doing right now. It really excites me. There's a constant learning which is happening.
Absolutely.
Right. And then there's a constant learning which even percolates further from me to my clients. So I keep meeting a lot of people. I make sense out of it and what's in it for a marketer. Then I go run workshops for them. And that's how they start connecting with my thought process in terms of there are a lot of tech stack available, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much marketers are looking at it and feeling so cluttered. If you go to Google right now and punch AI, companies will be like loaded with so many of them.
Absolutely.
How do you identify the right guys? How do you use creativity, the messaging, right kind of partner to deliver a campaign? That's super critical.
Yeah.
So over the years, you learn the tricks of the trade. And somewhere you end up making great friends on the marketer side as well.
Yes.
And the equity plays a role. So obviously over the years, your leaderships will back you. The client leaderships will back you and you'll be able to pull off a campaign which otherwise looked pretty difficult in that sense.
Yeah.
Because not all of them are risk takers. So you got to actually, drill down your passion for your subject to them and identify a similar kind of a person on the other side I mean, when I go and meet marketers, I also pick my clients. A lot of clients are like sparky like me.
Yeah.
A lot of CMOs I meet now, they want to do the new, do it first,
Yeah.
create headlines. Those are my guys. I focus on them.
Yeah.
And I put a lot of hard work along with them and our teams to pull off these campaigns.
Yeah.
And obviously with great support from startup ecosystem, which I say would be the most agile players in our ecosystem. If I go to a large company and ask them to make some tweaks on a big campaign which I have planned, because most of our ideas are like the industry first ideas, so they're very wacky.
Yeah.
And most of the big techs would say, no, we cannot change the platform for you. You come up with some serious idea.
Yeah.
It's damn creative. It's fabulous. It's going to win you awards, but we're not going to go that way and make those tweaks.
Yeah.
And somewhere with the startup ecosystem, I found a zone where I was able to deliver a lot of these tweaks, maneuver it, and make it perfect for a marketer's requirement, which ultimately drills down and creates that wow impact with the consumer. When the consumer sees that final output, he says, wow, ऐसा तो मैंने कभी कुछ देखा ही नहीं है, right? And that's where the marketer falls in love with it. All the while, what was happening was agencies were focusing on solving a marketer's problem. But now I'm seeing a lot of it, marketers are now starting to create solutions to solve a consumer problem as well.
Yeah, I'm seeing that as well.
And that's where I think players like you and AI is playing a killer role out there.
But I think one other thing that I want to attribute to you, and I just want to know where that comes from, where that inspiration comes from. The way you help the startup ecosystem of the country, I've seen you work very hard to like put a particular campaign in front of your brand, but in the process of that campaign, there are 2 startups involved in the back end that would otherwise not get that chance. In fact, like most of the people like us, right? We don't understand the agency business at all. We don't know, what is happening on the marketer side of things. We honestly, hand to heart, I did not know the difference between, a creative agency and a media agency before I joined GAN, because I was like neck deep into, SaaS and building for B2B companies and, for the last 10 years. But I was just a consumer of these ads. I would just see the ad and appreciate it and move on. Like I would never think that behind the scenes, there's a media agency and a creative agency and 10 other, WPP itself has so many agencies. It's a very complex world out there that you guys have created for someone like me to come in and understand, even in 1 year. People like you actually help us literally babysit that process and, understand that process to the extent that we can literally contribute to that campaign as effectively as we eventually do. One, what is your motivation to, help these startups out? Two, how do you be so patient with people like us who have no experience and can make a lot of mistakes in the process versus a much more established, company out there that can probably do it in a much more stabilized way? I wouldn't say better than us, but in a stabilized way, because they know the pitfalls.
I run my own practice like a startup in our organization, because every month when marketers would reach out to me, they would say, if you're speaking to Niraj, you will get to learn something new. That's the expectation, right?
Yeah.
So you are always starting from zero in terms of new solutions or ideation. Because when the novelty value of technology fades, they will look for new solutions out there. And that's pretty much startups would work for initially when they're trying to crack an idea and stuff like that. So I consider my practice internally more like an agile set of guys who are thinking the future and who are constantly building prototypes, working with creative folks, and also on the client side to build a lot of these creatively charged campaigns out there. And some of them fail, some of them succeed. And like I said, it ends up creating like a lot of noise in our industry. But yeah, coming back to the startup ecosystem, personally, I like the space a lot in terms of the young guys who are trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
And every time I meet them, like I remember meeting Ashray, its company got acquired by Adobe recently, right? Rephrase.ai.
Yes.
When I met him for the first time and I was undergoing his presentation, he told me like, we do synthetic AI, we create avatars and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, this is the 10th partner I'm going to be evaluating. And at that point in time, for us to create a synthetic avatar, used to take about 10 hours of original content reading from the script. Remember long?
Yeah.
So green screen, I used to sit there and read the script for 10 hours to create my own clone.
Yeah.
So I was going through whatever Ashray was saying, and then we used to have like serious legal hurdles. A lot of my friends on the legal side used to say, oh my God, this can be like really scary. Why are you getting into all this? But I used to create a lot of my clones and I used to place them on a presentation. When I used to go and meet a client, I used to say, this is not me, this is my clone. We were talking about 2.5 years back. Right? And clients used to get super excited saying that ये तू नहीं है, ये तेरा clone है. और बोला हाँ, ये तो किसी कोई कुछ भी बुलवा सकता हूँ मैं उससे. So I used to create those panels and all and create intrigue and excitement. Then it took me about 6 months to get the legal conversations in order. By the time I think West started landing some campaigns as well. So I think the first clone we ever did was with Hrithik Roshan for a Raksha Bandhan campaign. This was with Ashray.
Right.
And again, when I met him, he was like full of enthusiasm and a lot of like the way he is, like a very happy personality.
Met him as well,
And then you must ask him if you do a podcast with him in terms of how much of mentoring and workshops which we did together, like across multiple agencies, so many connects, so many times he visited us, so many online webinars where he was being asked tough questions. And together we were stitching a narrative for marketers that how this can be used for personalized messaging. And look at now, I think he delivered a campaign where synthetic AI is pretty much sitting on top of the MarTech stack. And characters of Diya Mirza for brands like Biko are selling products as well. So it's pretty much up there. Now with generative AI and some serious engineering, we are getting these avatars to talk a particular subject. If you see our recent campaign on Britannia and Golmaal. On the cricketing season, we got Ravi Shastri, India's ex-coach, to give cricketing advice over WhatsApp. That was super brilliant. Right? So now, so a lot of cool stuff is picking up. So when I keep meeting a lot of these startups, I spend a lot of time. Easily, they must be working with me for at least 6 months with zero revenue. So they got to be invested and they got to believe in me that yes, the work will happen. And then I help them maneuver the system. All the workshops which I do for my clients. I run a 1.5 hour creative tech module for a lot of our clients. And now we've got our experience centers in Gurgaon and Mumbai. So we've got a place where clients are visiting. But in those days, I used to go with a lot of hardware to client locations and run a lot of show and tell. And that's why I used to get guys like Rephrase or Bobble.ai. That's another startup we mentored, and now we won our first can with them for Unilever Dove, which you know, right? We've been doing some fabulous work with you guys as well. Whether it's the birthday song or the my most favorite would be the work which we did on Shikhar and Unilever, right? That's fabulous. That's giving a different level of empowerment to retailers out there.
Absolutely.
On a super app which they own.
It's amazing.
So sky is the limit in terms of what a startup can do if the hand-holding is perfect in the industry and the ecosystem, if they are positioned well. And if people are able to understand with a use case, not just their product, but with a use case. Someone comes and says, I can do a synthetic AI, with someone coming and saying, I can do synthetic AI for 5 different purposes for different categories. What's in it for CPG? What's in it for auto? If someone comes with a idiot-proof solution to an agency, agency will make a sense out of it. And since they work on comms, they'll be the best guys to think creatively how this tech can be embedded into an existing promo. And it can deliver value for the client. So all that, it was just about perfect partnership, handholding with the startup ecosystem. And Startup Accelerator as a program is being around for a while now. And I think the bunch of startups I've been really fortunate to partner with. All of them have done well, including you guys, and now doing a lot of good stuff out there. So it's a commitment from either side. But for me, the passion remains. If you meet me another 2 years down the line, I might be excelling in something else with some other startup, but exactly doing the same thing.
So for you, it's all about, contributing to the larger, to the greater good of the, consumer brands, but then also making sure that you are learning constantly and changing and evolving, over time. This might be a tricky one. It's like asking, the father who your favorite child is. But like if there's one campaign, and this is a cliche, but I have to ask you this. If there's one campaign that you always think will be the closest to your heart, which is that campaign?
There are so many. But if I were to divide, into, like at a mini India level, like there is India, which we know, which we are part of, and we are having this conversation with highly elite people who are like really the rich guys of India. And there are many Indias who exist within India. Call it the Bharat and rural. So that's something which is my forte in a big way. Because I've been known, initially when I started my career, I was all about inclusion. That if I can create a solution for upmarket Indian, why can't I build a solution using voice tech for bottom of the pyramid? And when I started, I think dumb phones or feature phones in India sat at around 650 million in my days, right? When I started. So, and government launched this program called Kilkari. So when a baby is born, they capture mother's number and then they send out a lot of health and hygiene information to the mother, right? In 2013, we moved to a platform called DTMF, which is nothing but dual tone, multiple frequency, ability of a voice call to press a key and invoke a content. So Kaan Khajura Station was a big hit, like a community radio platform by Unilever. And those days we ended up doing a lot of campaign using speech as well, like Pocket Dentist of Colgate.
Yeah.
You know, so you pick up a call and you say, Dato mein sadan, it reads sadan as a keyword, it throws an output back. So people who are not literate enough, owning, say, a $2, $3 kind of a phone, you are still reaching them using a technology and making a dent in their life, adding value to it.
Absolutely.
And getting the brand along in terms of the messaging. So that pretty much drove me saying that, oh my God, there's so much change we are bringing in. And in that journey, we partnered with so many maverick advertisers. Like I still remember Godrej Goodnight Fast Card ki Pathshala we created, which was like a simple number. Even if you don't have internet on your phone, call up on the number and it'll teach you small English statements. Suprabhat ko English mein kehte hain good morning, beep ke baad aap bole good morning. So the villager will say good morning with whatever diction.
Oh, wow.
My system will rank him or her, saying that you got it with 60% accuracy, and we teach them small statements.
This is which year?
This was ages back, 2005, 2015.
15.
I think 15 and before.
So when speech to text and text to speech was just
So look at Kilkari was a one-way broadcasting platform. 2013 was all about era of DTMF. Then came Pocket Dentist ka speech. Then look at Axis Bank and Citibank's biometric numbers where people can call up and you say my voice is my password. Your voice gets into it as a password. You don't need those tin numbers of the world. Just enter and just you read Anupreet's voice and you can maneuver the platform, right? Now look at Satya Nadella. He was talking about a service called Bhashini currently.
Yeah.
Government
big now.
Government is spending close to 100 crore on a 40-day project on NLT, Natural Language Translation Mission.
Yes.
If you're aware.
Yeah.
And Modi ji was currently talking, I was in one of the forums, he was talking about AI and how language is getting translated.
Yes.
So he speaks in Hindi, but the guys from Karnataka will get to hear it in Kannada in real time.
Absolutely.
Right? I saw the same prototype with one of the companies in IMC as well.
Yeah.
So all that, I think Tech Stack for Inclusion completely drove me to a different level, saying that here there is a lot of problem in this part of India, and there is a lot of scope to create really sci-fi, supercharged, utility-driven service for these audience without they having to do a lot of hard work. Now look at podcast in India. It sits at 93 odd million. I think PwC number. Our report says about 60 million. But look at PM Ke Man Ki Baat. As a podcast, it has 600 million people.
Yeah.
So voice, vernacular, telephony. Club it.
Yeah.
Give it a language support. I think PM Ke Man Ki Baat is available in 19 languages.
Correct.
Currently, India has got 22 marquee languages, 780 dialects and dictions. So there's a way to go. Like Google Vani is as a service is focused on cracking that barrier, right?
Yeah.
So there's so much happening in that space. Now imagine current era. Clubbing voice AI with generative AI.
Yeah.
You can do personalized calling. You can create core utility, which used to be DTMF driven in those days.
Yeah.
Currently, sky is the limit.
Yeah.
And again, those $10 phones are now coming with WhatsApp inbuilt.
Yes.
WhatsApp again goes vernacular.
Yes.
Imagine, and we are working on a campaign together, which is about stitching a one-way call to an opt-in to a regional personalized video, which will get pushed out through WhatsApp to that consumer.
Yes.
In rural Bharat, it's going to create an high which consumer would have never ever thought.
Yeah.
कि आज एक शाहरुख खान urban में बात करता है. That's given. हमें पता है True Fan apps है. Lots is happening in synthetic AI. Take it a notch down and have those dialogue with those users out there. It's going to resonate like another level, right?
And then listen, right? I mean, the attention span that you get from the user when you actually call them by their name is phenomenal. I mean, some case studies we realize that 5 times more people complete the video message if it starts with their name.
Yeah.
So more than the innovation part of it, the impact, especially in the rural India, when you want to tell them, like why they should, brush their teeth or why they should, use a certain antiseptic, etc., etc. It's important to make sure that the message is being delivered. Like regular phone call aati hai, you just cut the phone right away. If the phone call starts with their name in Amitabh Bachchan ji's voice, it'll probably deliver the message a lot better because he'll be curious to know what's next. So more than just the innovation of it, I think the impact of it is extremely interesting. And I think, we were talking about this before the podcast began, how, LLMs are being built out of India. It is amazing. I don't know if you saw that message from Sam Altman when I was in India, when this question was asked to him that, what do you think about LLMs being built out of India? He literally, said that, I don't think it's possible. I don't think people should attempt. He absolutely trashed it.
India is a leapfrog economy. It can surprise any country.
Yeah. And literally in like 1 year, I think less than 1 year, there are at least 3 LLM companies out of India that I know that have already been funded more than 25-30 million each. And are just going after that LLM for India. AI for Bharat is the broader term for it. that people are building for. And, there are people are building LLMs that are Indian languages first, which kind of, they removes the tokenization problem. There was a lot of cost when you translated the LLMs from English to Hindi. But if you actually build LLMs grounds up, and the tokenization cost make it far less. You make it super affordable. So things people like Krutim, we're talking about what Reliance probably launched today. Tell me more about what do you think, the impact of that on marketing would be, like these LLMs that are being built out of India. What would the impact of that on that?
That's exactly what I told you, that AI's ability to drive personalization and the language model, especially for Indian markets, is going to be a motivating factor for any startup to move into the space, right? We are already talking about players like you, or what Mandy is doing on Neural Garage, the visual DAW platform. There's a lot of work which is already there. They're already working towards it. And like I said, to crack India, it's not just going to be English, is not going to be enough. You got to go vernacular. You got to go vernacular and build those narrative for the many Indias which exist within India, right? So I think sky is a limit when it comes to language models and this space what we're going to be co-creating. And Sam Altman's challenge to India is, I think, well received. And like you said, a lot of people are moving into it. And this is a different ecosystem what we're trying to create, right? So even when we did this campaign on Britannia, ChatGPT was the source to fetch an answer, which Ravi Shastri was then narrating. But when the question was going in, the profanity layer was being controlled by us, which is our conversational AI firm, Wonderman Thompson Commerce, and that it was going through that, which is specialized in building conversational AI tech stack for years and years in the Indian market. The profanity that understands India-specific nuances. So the question went from there, and we were blocking the incorrect question which was coming in to ChatGPT. And when the answer was getting rendered, again it was going through profanity. So we were making sure that the Indian nuances are being catered to. So going by that, I think language models, and I presented my cloned language models on the conferences. If you follow that. So I can personally speak English, Hindi and Gujarati, but I trained it for 7 odd languages. So I was
Kannada and Malayalam.
I was seen speaking, and the accuracy levels were like, I would say about 60-70% lip sync accuracy, and the numbers are even going up. English, Hindi is 90% plus. So the audience was thrilled looking at that, saying that, and I got a lot of inquiries where they all wanted to basically render content in multiple languages. So a lot of our clients say an automobile client must be launching a car in one market, and then they want us to sit and manually render content in 20 odd markets, 20 states where there are different price points, adaptation and also it's going to play a solid role out there. I think AI is pretty much cutting across all possible tech stack that surrounds us. And creativity also gets enhanced when you are able to add those language models, right, in some form. And for us, you to do it manually becomes very difficult. So I think very excited about this space of how Indian startup ecosystem like yours are going to work on that language model per se, and are going to add to what the large LLM which these large companies are building. It's clearly an era of collaboration. It's not you competing against OpenAI or
absolutely
Google, Gemini, or anyone else. It's about all of us coming together, working together to build a solution. And that's exactly what agencies like us ensure, that the best of all partnership comes into picture. Best of all talent, they work together and they pull off a campaign which is of great value to marketers.
And one other thing that I really was fascinated by was the work you showed on Fiki Frames. Want to go deeper into that? I got a printout actually. Can we get that? Explain what is going on here.
So what I've been doing is now, since I've been running a lot of talks on creative AI, so I thought maybe use an AI engineered picture, which is very popular in the web. This is my personal favorite. But now what I've done and taken it a notch forward is you have an iPhone. So using your native camera, which is part of camera focused marketing, if you scan this image, the image shall start talking is what I think it should. But everything is on the staging server. This is another startup who's helped me build this, like a native cam.
Hello everyone.
Is it?
Oh wow.
Step into the future of creativity at Fiki Frames
Oh my
2024. As WPP and Group M India's emerging tech lead, I invite you all to our session, Shaping the Future of Creativity in the Digital Age.
This is interesting.
This is super cool. I mean, you can do a lot of creative work using this.
Wow.
And imagine now we are also looking at if there's a creative ad and if there is a character, which you can actually pick up the character, place it in real life, do some level of gamification, create some buzz.
Yeah.
So yeah, sky is the limit to AI, and this image is my personal favorite.
This was the new high. I mean, let's close on this high. Thank you so much, Niraj, for joining and showing us such cool stuff and talking to us about the future of marketing and AI and the amalgamation of both of the worlds. And thank you so much for being so supportive to the entire community. And I'm representing the startup community here and thanking you for all the love and blessings that you've showered over us. Thank you so much for being a part of it.
Thank you so much, Anupreet, and I wish you all the best. And we'll keep jamming on some really powerful creative campaigns.
Absolutely.
And together, I look forward to creating global headlines with you as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.